I just cleaned these. Like, I literally just cleaned these.
We're all spying on you.
Let me wipe down my glasses. I just washed these. Like, literally. Hi, everyone. I just washed with soap and water. Washed my glasses. Haven't even worn them yet. Took extra care not to touch the glasses. And there's already fingerprints on them. I don't know.
It's the chibis.
It's the chibis. Those are chibi prints. Welcome, everybody. Happy Monday, Tuesday.
Good afternoon.
Is it Tuesday? It's Tuesday. Tuesday, February 1st. It's the first day of February.
Happy February, everyone.
First day of February. Happy February. January is now in the books. I love it. We are into a not necessarily warmer, but going in the right direction month. Very pleased about that. The days are getting longer. There's more sunshine. It is sunny and glorious out there right now. I'm super happy about that. And it's time for a live stream. It's a nooner. We're having a lunchtime live stream today. We are going to talk Tunisian crochet troubleshooting. So we've done a couple of videos, obviously, so far this year, because we are doing a Tunisian stitch calendar blanket, the Totally Tunisian Calendar Blanket. The new one is coming this Friday, of course, first Friday of the month. So that will be Friday. And we thought we would answer some frequently asked questions. We like to do this. We like to sort of put up the first video of the year and then sit back and watch sort of some of the questions and the comments come in and hear what the family has to say, hear what other subscribers and just sort of the passing inquiries might be. So we have put together a list of the most frequently asked questions on Tunisian crochet, the calendar blanket project in general, and just a few other sort of related questions about tools and tension and stuff that have come up the most. We like to do this now. I think this might be our third year of doing a kind of live stream that orbits the calendar blanket and kind of troubleshoots or talks most frequently asked questions.
I think so.
I think so.
I think so.
Yeah. So anyway, that's what we're going to do today.
I lost track of the years.
I know. It's 2022, right? You brought music. Oh my gosh.
I decided to bring music today.
Special.
I'm feeling a little bit musical today.
Are you feeling a little musical?
Just a bit.
Does that mean we're going to get
like this much?
The whole show? We're going to...
the full show? Yeah, I guess. Maybe. Actually, the reason I played our little tune there is because we got some membership milestones. So, one of our channel members, Diane,
Hi, Diane.
has been a silk member for 11 months, says, hello, Jayda and Mr. InStitches. Hope you are well.
We are great. Thank you.
Yes. Queen Dreamer.
I like that.
Has
I'm one of those.
Has rejoined. So this is a re-welcome to or renewed probably.
So re-welcome.
Re-welcome. I'm sending out a re-welcome to Queen Dreamer. Silk member. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
And oh my goodness. I've got some stuff to get to here. I didn't realize.
Don't worry, I've got my notes. I'm ready to go. With my notes. Got my pen ready. That's really
We haven't listened to our little tune for a while.
It's happy.
Can everyone hear that? I'm not even sure if the microphone's picking it up. But we got a super sticker, $20 super sticker from Richard.
Thank you, Richard.
Wow. Appreciate
Thank
that.
You very much.
It's the hippo, and the hippo's going, victory! That's very cute. Thank you, Richard.
Thank you very much.
Big thank you to Fern, who's been a Merino member for 3 months.
Hi, Fern. Thank you.
Oh, yay. 3 months, says Fern. Jessica Rabbit is in the house.
Miss Rabbit.
Jessica Rabbit has been a silk member for 2 months.
Thank you.
SDV, the board game. Oh, we've got that on our
list
to buy list.
Yes,
There's
that is
games.
Stardew Valley, the board game.
Stardew Valley, the board
For
game.
those of you not in the know.
It is absolutely adorable. We were literally dreaming about them doing this years before.
Yeah,
so we must have been one of many voices.
For those of you who don't know,
please do a board game.
Stardew Valley is one of the sweetest video games ever made. It is
highly recommended.
It is probably one of the best video games ever made. But it is sweet. It is family friendly. It is wonderful. It is absolutely wonderful, and it's
one of the best.
It's one of the best.
You know what? It is. It's definitely in the top. My top 10, and I've been gaming for. And I don't know if I should say. I was about to say. No, I don't care. I've been gaming for... Hold on a second. Let me do the math.
I know how long I've been gaming for.
39 years?
It might be longer than that.
40 years?
Yeah, because I'm going to say it's roughly the same for me because I've been gaming since the original
in my
Frogger.
top 10.
I've been gaming since the original Frogger on the Vic 21.
You know you're dating
You know
yourself
you're dating
now.
yourself.
I was trying to protect you, but we threw that out the window.
Nope, love it. Love the games. Proud of it.
Okay, before you get into that, so Jessica Rabbit says, Stardew Valley, the board game, is worth not getting. Yarn video games.
It's that good.
It's that good. Just setting it up is epic. I believe you.
I knew it.
I've got it on my.
I'm so excited.
I've got it saved, bookmarked on my.
We
my computer.
love table games. We absolutely love table games and playing, real games and game boards and stuff like that. So just marrying those two things together is very exciting. That's one of my favorite things to do.
Okay, I'm going to wrap up a few more chats here, and then we will move on. So, Karen, a big thank you to Karen, who is a 9-month Alpaca member. Big thank you to Jill, who's a 2-month Silk member. Became a member after completing last year's blanket. I sit covered by it. In -20 here in Hannah, Alberta, Canada today. Excited to do this year's.
Yes.
So are we.
Yes, it is pretty nippy out there.
Yeah. So thank you, everyone. Thanks for everyone for joining.
Yes,
and,
thank you.
Please take part in the chat.
Yeah. We'll have to come up with a poll question for the chat. But while we're thinking of one,
that's a good idea.
I'm going to jump right into the most frequently asked questions, and I'm going to start with sizing because that seems to be the #1 question. So we have had many people ask about the size of the squares. So like a lot of our blanket projects, size isn't quite as important as stitch and row count. So to elaborate a little bit, all of our yarns are different. All of our hooks are different. All of our tensions are different. So keeping to the same gauge isn't really easy. So we really try hard to design blankets that aren't really gauge specific so that nobody feels bad if they wind up with, little squares or oddly shaped squares or whatever it is we're doing. So my squares are roughly 30 by 30 centimeters or 12 by 12 inches. And I say roughly because they're not exact, but that is after adding the little border, which is a single crochet edge, and after blocking so that it lies flat and I can get a real general idea of it. But I also know that it's going to stretch out a little bit with the extra weight of the other squares on it after the blanket's been put together. So keep that in mind when you are crocheting anything, but especially the squares in this year's project. The size that it is when you first start is tighter than it's going to be usually. I mean, if you've got really loose tension, that's a completely different story, but we'll get to that. So typically it's going to be a little tighter than it will eventually be. It'll be tighter when you first make it than it is after, like before you block it. It'll be tighter than it is after it's been attached to other squares and after it's been, used and messed with. If you wash your blanket and use it, it's going to gradually ease out. These are all things that happen over time. So those squares will size up a little bit. So sizing isn't terribly important. If you do want larger squares, you want to make your squares a stitch count that is always the same. So all 12 of your squares need to have the exact same foundation row stitch count. That stitch count or that foundation number of chains can be any even number. So we're using 38. I'm going to be using 38 for the whole year. But if you want to use 40, if you want to use 44, maybe you only want to use 12 because you're just doing a little tiny wee sampler. You can use any even number, but it's got to be the same throughout. So whatever you go with, write it down, keep that in mind. The row count also always has to be the same. So we're doing 32 rows. So 38 stitches by 32 rows, and that's going to be every single square this year. But if you want to add more rows, you can. It just has to be a multiple of 4. So 32, 36, 40, 44, so on. You want it to be a multiple of 4. Rows, you want it to be an even count stitches, and that way you know that all of these different Tunisian stitch patterns that we are going to use over the next 11 months now will all work together. So if you want to sort of play around with stitch count and row count, that's your guide. But keep in mind that sizing isn't super important. That's the super technical end of sizing. Now here's an easier way to deal with sizing. If it's too small and you're just frustrated because it's just too small, it could be a tension thing. So definitely go a size up with your hook. Try a larger hook. Try a hook that's even 2 sizes larger. It doesn't really matter. You're just going for a fabric that isn't holy. You don't want to be able to see through it, right? Tunisian fabric has kind of a knitting feel to it. Are you?
That's my attempt at holy. How'd I do?
Is that what that was? That was cute.
I'm trying to find the tiny window to interrupt you because
I'm still only on question number 1.
Well, we are getting bombarded with love.
Oh.
So
I can feel it.
Can you feel the love coming? Sakura Sue,
Hi, Sue.
has been a channel member for 30 months.
Quite a while, yes.
Silk member. Good morning, InStitches family. Missed the January milestone. Here's to February. Thank you for the party with all the happy people. Love and hugs.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you, Sakura.
Thank you.
Amy has sent us a $5 super chat.
Thank you.
I'm so excited about the calendar blanket this year. Always wondered what those long hooks were for. Now I know. Love learning new things.
Me too.
Great.
Me too.
Nina, Silk member for 3 months.
Thank you,
Love
Nina.
your channel. I have followed your channel since 2019 and finally joined the family.
Oh, thank you.
You are so great. Thanks. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
joining. Elle.
Oh, hi, Elle.
Hello, Elle. Elle's been a Silk member for 27 months.
Thank you.
Loving the year of Tunisian.
Yes.
And all of our adorable emojis.
Good, good. Yes. Tunisian crochet. It's so fascinating.
Yeah.
So yeah, Tunisian crochet is a bit like knitting in that it's not, you can have lacy Tunisian stitches. But to start with, because the first one we did was the Tunisian simple stitch, it has kind of a knitting feel to it. The back of it certainly looks like knitting. All those little ribbly.
I like rubbly. Rubbly works.
Ripply. Holy. Ripply. Bumpy stitches that looks like the reverse of the stockingette stitch or the plain or even knitting stitch. So that's what the back end or the wrong side, and I say wrong side because it's not the front, it's the back of the Tunisian simple stitch looks like. But it's kind of like a thick knit, not so thick that, you know, it's thick this way like crochet can be. It's just there's no sort of big spacing in between it, which is why it's a really great stitch for a lot of different projects, especially a blanket. But you don't want it to be so tight that it doesn't have any give, and you don't want it to be so loose that you can kind of stick your fingers through it. So if you are too tight, go up a hook size and then go up another hook size. We're going to talk swatches in a second. If you don't want to go up a hook size, or you can't because you only have one hook, then try using a yarn that is a thinner weight. So I'm using a size 4 medium weight yarn. Most of my yarns are actually, they're all different kinds. The big one, the big green one, is a Red Heart Comfort, but it's not thick like regular comforts. It's a little bit thinner, like more like their Super Saver. The big yellow one I'm using is a Bernat Super Value. No, Bernat Grand Value, because it's a large ball. It's also a size 4 medium weight, and the pretty coral I'm using is a Red Heart Comfort, but the typical comfort that's a bit thicker than your average size 4. So this is a Red Heart Comfort. It's a little bit thicker. You're not really going to be able to see what I'm showing you, but I am going to hold it against a couple of other yarns. So this is also considered a size 4 medium weight yarn. I'm just going to pull out. So this is a size 4 medium weight yarn. These are both from the same company. So these are both Red Hearts. And as you can see, I'm going to hold this as carefully and as slowly as I can. I hope you can see this. The light green one is skinnier than the dark green one. Okay, I'm going to stop moving here in a second. Okay.
I will attempt to zoom in. Let me see if our little zoom works.
So the dark,
hold still.
The dark
hold
green,
still.
I'm trying.
Hold still.
Don't make me laugh.
Hold still. Hold on. I think I got it. Ba-bow!
So the dark green is
Can you bring it down to down a bit so it goes against your sweater?
Yes.
A little more.
Is that better?
Perfect.
So the dark green is thicker than the light green. These are both considered a size for medium weight yarn, and they're both
Now,
by the same
can you
manufacturer.
spin it around really slowly and do somersaults
you're really
with it?
funny.
Can you do a 360-degree spin?
That's it. The scripture's over. Okay, don't change anything. I'm going to show.
Oh,
something
really?
else.
I'm zooming in again.
I'm going to change. Okay, so this is a size
I should get
3.
a raise.
This little yarn
I'm gonna
here.
ask for a raise today.
Shut up!
I'm gonna ask the boss for a raise for all this extra work.
If you're lucky, I'll give you cookies.
Zooming in is not part of my work description.
That's true. It wasn't part of your work description.
You know what? We're gonna have to negotiate.
You have to negotiate for zooming now.
All right.
Okay. Oh my gosh.
We're zooming in.
We're zooming in. Okay, so I'm gonna hold this as carefully and slowly. Is it low enough?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So the one on the top is a size 4 medium weight yarn. It's kind of thick. The one in the middle is a size 4 medium weight yarn, but it's thinner. And the one on the bottom is a size 3 lightweight yarn, which is much closer in weight to the middle one than to the big one. But only the bottom one is considered a size 3 lightweight yarn. Size 3 lightweight is the closest thing we've got to a DK weight yarn. And DK or double knit is the sort of the size metric that's used in the UK. So if you want to size down to a lighter weight yarn, so a lighter size 4 or a lightweight size 3, and continue using the same size hook, that will help you with tension. It might create a slightly smaller square, but again, sizing doesn't matter. Stitch count, row count does. The lighter weight yarn will help with curling. It'll help with, just being able to move them around on the hook. If you do have a tendency to have tighter tension, then the lighter weight yarn might be a better option for you. If you can get a bigger hook, get the bigger hook and stick with the same yarn that you have got, which is probably a size 4. If you are in the UK and you don't want to use DK weight, the next size up is, I think, Aran weight. Aran weight is closer to a size 5 chunky, bulky weight yarn here. But like the lighter version of that, there's so much room to maneuver in each category. That's why everything sort of ends up sizing a bit differently. So it's really important to work a swatch, which I'm going to get to. But you can play around with different weights yarn. You can play around with different size hooks, and you can play around with the different stitches to sort of see going forward, if you're using any of these stitches to make your own projects, what works best. Because as we all learned in the MMAM, the Mighty Mile a Minute last year, not all yarns and not all stitch patterns have the same give or the same stretch or the same height or the same width. So the same thing is going to occur, not to such a great degree. I think will occur with the Tunisian stitches that we do this year, because some of them will have more give, a little tighter. And some of them, they shouldn't be any smaller and they shouldn't be any wider, just because it's the same concept of all loops on, all loops off, all loops on, all loops off. But you might see differences. So I just want you to be aware of that going forward. And remember, blocking helps, changing your hook size helps, but the most important thing is making sure you have the same stitch count and the same row count for each of your squares. Don't worry so much about the sizing, because you can cheat it up with blocking. You can change out your hook if you need to. If like we're doing a particular stitch 1 month that you just feel you have too tight a tension for, it's helpful to use the bigger hook or the lighter weight yarn for that particular stitch. It'll all work out. So as far as sizing is concerned, try not to stress it too much, just like last year. Those are some tips for dealing with tension or dealing with sizing if you want to make any major changes to it. I took a breath.
You took a breath, so now it's my turn to take a breath. We have a super chat from Sherry.
Sherry, hi Sherry.
Sherry says, have a bad head cold, too much math today, but I think I got it.
We're done with the math, don't worry.
Yeah, done with the math. Super chat from Fern.
Hey Fern,
it's our little pear friend giving you kisses.
Thank you. Mwah.
Blowing kisses.
I'm still thinking about this whole Zoom thing being part of the contract.
You like that, eh?
I do.
You might just see a new contract on your desk later today. I might just slip that in there.
Extra cookies for Zooming.
Extra cookies, extra Cinnabons, and extra icing.
Oh yes, I've been making the Mr. Cinnabuns the last couple days.
Spoiled.
Real dough, real bread from scratch Cinnabuns. I made them 2 days in a row, which was a mistake because now it's
we
won't do anything else unless he gets a cinnamon bun.
That's our new dinner routine. Big shout out to Dawn, who's been a Vicuña member.
Hi, Dawn.
39-month member.
Wow,
thank you for teaching this technique. I've done a little bit of Tunisian crochet and excited to learn more.
It is so much fun.
What else do we have here? I think we have a super chat from Dawn.
Dawn, thank you.
Dawn says, I am glad to see you both, and I hope you are both well. Lots of hearts.
We are very well, thank you.
Dawn, another Dawn, I don't know, is this the same Dawn? Same Dawn, has been an Alpaca member for 13 months. Love you both.
Thank you.
And Elle is back with a super chat. Elle says, I made the heart mitered square in thread, and it's adorable.
Oh.
Thanks for the wonderful Etsy sale.
Thank you, Elle.
I'm doing panels of Tunisian for a cardigan.
Very nice. Very nice.
Mom, there's a mom in the chat,
Oh,
a new
cute.
member. Welcome to Silk.
That's a good name. Thank you. Welcome, Mom.
All right, welcome, Mom. Welcome to Silk. What else? I think we're all caught up.
Are you all caught up?
Yes.
Beautiful. Okay, let's talk about how to make a swatch. Now, normally when you see a pattern and there's a gauge and it tells you to work a gauge swatch, or you get a ball of yarn and you see that little thing on the label that's like a square that has the number by number, and it tells you the size of the hook or the size of the knitting needle. That's the size of the hook or the needle you're supposed to use, and to work that swatch, and then measure your swatch against the measurements on that thing on the label. And that kind of tells you the sizing of the yarn or what to expect if you're working it into a project. So if you're like me and you've been crocheting or knitting for any period of time and you've been reading patterns, you just want to get to the project. You don't want to work a swatch. It's annoying. It's time, feels like a time waster. It's really worthwhile doing the gauge swatch in a pattern because it could save you a lot of time and tears down the road. But the funny thing about working a swatch with Tunisian crochet is that it's actually kind of fun because you don't have to use your Tunisian crochet hook. You can use just a regular crochet hook. And I'm going to show you. I know that sounds funny. Hey, you know that practice thing? It's actually kind of fun. So I'm going to use my yarn. So this is what I do for a Tunisian swatch and for all of the stitches we're going to learn this year. I just had to quickly do it through my head. You can do the same thing. So you can do a swatch that's either any even number between 6 and 10. So 6, 8, or 10. I stick to 6 most of the time because I kind of know my own tension. But if you're a little unsure, go with the larger number, like 10, and then work as many rows. And I want to say it again, a Tunisian crochet row consists of a forward pass, all loops on, and a reverse pass, all loops off. That equals 1 row of crochet. So a 32 square row, or I should say a 32 row square, consists of 32 forward passes and 32 reverse passes. Excuse me, because that forward and reverse progression is what gives you 1 row of crochet. So you have to keep that in mind. So when I say 1 row, I'm talking full forward, full reverse. Pardon me.
Well, since you're taking a quick break,
I'm just going to chain 6.
I got to jump in when I can because we are getting flooded with love.
Oh, thank you, everybody.
So we have a membership milestone from Lori. Lori's been a member for 13 months.
Thank
Silk
you, Lori.
member. Love you guys, says
Thank
Lori.
you.
Carla is here, Vicuña member,
Hey, Carla.
4 months. I remember Pong on Atari. Yesterday was my birthday. Happy birthday! This past week, Florida decided to participate in winter. It is cold. Go truckers! Hong Kong! I guess Florida got a wave of cold weather.
Wow.
I remember once we took a family vacation into Florida, and I remember it being like windy and cool. And we were surprised, but it
I remember visiting.
It happens.
I visited my grandparents in Florida one year around Christmas, and it was beautiful. It was cool.
Yeah.
Like you could just go out with a light jacket on. And I remember, oh, wow, that's winter.
And then we're looking out at like 8 feet of snow, blistering, blizzards. So thank you for that, Carla. Big thank you to Charles, who's been an Alpaca member for 17 months. Love, love, love your channel.
Thank you
with
so
our
much, Charles.
coffee mug emoji. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. All right, so I chained 6 and I've picked up a loop in each of the other 5 chains. So remember, when you start Tunisian, you chain as many stitches as you want. So as many chains, that will be the same number of stitches you have in every forward pass row hanging on your hook. So I chained 6. Well, that leaves you with a loop on your hook, and the first chain from the hook is used by the loop that's sitting on your hook. So you always skip the first chain from the hook. You pick up a loop in each of the next chains. So the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th, and the 6th chains away from your hook, and that gives you 6 loops on your hook. So this is my little swatch start. And I'm going to do the Tunisian simple stitch because that's the one we've done so far. So you yarn over and pull back through the first loop on the hook and just that one loop. And what that does is create the running chain, the running stitch that goes up the one side of your Tunisian. Then, because the Tunisian simple stitch is simple, you just yarn over, pull back through 2, 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 yarn over, pull back through 2 until you're left with one loop on your hook. Now, because I'm just using a regular crochet hook, I don't need a whole lot of space here because I'm only using 6 loops. And it allows me to continue to hold my hook the way I normally do. So if you're a pencil grip, you can work 6 loops on the business end of your hook and still maintain that pencil grip. If you're a knife grip like me, you can just use the business end of your hook and still hold it the way you normally would. And this is really great if you're getting used to the concept of a stitch. So going forward, if you're really new to Tunisian crochet, and I mean, I'm going to be perfectly upfront with you guys, I have not done a ton of Tunisian crochet either, which is why we were really excited to do this blanket, because it gives me an opportunity to use my long hooks. But I work a little sampler before I do any one of these things, just so I know I got the pattern right in my head, and then I feel comfortable working bigger. And that's all this is. And this translates to all knitting and crochet. So if there's a pattern stitch to work in, and when you're reading a pattern and you see work in pattern stitch, they mean however many rows make up that pattern stitch, you do that until you get the size swatch you need. So I've pulled back, I did a full reverse pass, now I've done a full forward pass, I've picked up a loop for every single one of those stitches, and I'm just going to do it again. So yarn over, pull back through 1 to start, and then yarn over, pull back through 2 all the way back.
Should I be zooming in on this?
No, you don't have to. I'm just going to work up. I'm just going to work. This is what I'm doing. So all I'm doing is just working that Tunisian simple stitch, which we did for the first calendar blanket square, and also for our little dishcloth. That's a great little practice thing. Because you're only working a handful of stitches, you can just get your fingers comfortable, get your brain comfortable with that forward pass, reverse pass, forward pass, reverse pass, and just work a few rows. Maybe if you did six chains, work 6 rows, full, forward, and reverse. If you did 8, do 8 rows. If you did 10, do 10 rows. Then you could just have an opportunity to sort of look at it. You can see the pattern forming. And this is really important with Tunisian. You want to make sure that you understand the concept. And if it looks even and tidy, you'll know you have. So you're like, okay, now I know how the pattern works. I know I'm comfortable with the forward pass. I'm comfortable with the reverse pass. I'm not dropping loops. If you are dropping loops, if you are having trouble managing that yarn over, pull back through 2, and you're getting 3, or you can only get 1, or this is a great size to work on. So what you're doing, in effect, is just practicing your Tunisian method before you launch into the whole square. So it's much better for your ego to practice on something small, make your mistakes, figure out. It's easier to see on something small where you might be making mistakes, if you're making them at all. It's easier to see, where you have issues with tension or anywhere you might have trouble, or I'm comfortable. I love this stitch. I can't wait. Let's do it. Let's jump into the big one. It's always a good idea to work a little sampler. Warms you up, gets you comfortable, gets you back into the mindset of Tunisian, because it is quite different from regular crochet or regular knitting. And once you've got that little sampler and you're like, yeah, I can see that I have a pretty good tension here. It's not rolling too much. It's not too tight. It's got a little bit of give, both east, west, north, south. Then it's time to jump into the full size square. So I always recommend making a little sampler, and you don't have to keep it, but how cute is that? If you're keeping a project journal, and you're working along on this year's calendar blanket and you're keeping a project journal, then these cute little swatches make lovely little things to add into your project journal. Not only does it give you a visual representation of what, say, the Tunisian simple stitch is, you can go, oh yeah, that's the one with it's just straight up and down bars that sit on top of each other. Oh yeah, I love that stitch. Ooh, I'd like to use that for a scarf. It's just that fast little reminder of what it's supposed to look like. Your fingers will remember, and it's sometimes easier to have over a photograph, to like have that thing you physically made and go, oh yeah, I remember that, because you made it. So you kind of can recognize where you need to put your fingers or where you need to put your hook. So little swatches, really recommend them. I like the little look you give me over the
We are getting flooded with love.
You guys are so wonderful. Thank you for being here today.
I would
everybody.
like to shout out Robin.
Hi, Robin.
Robin's been a Silk member for 38 months.
Thank you, Robin.
Good day. I've been a member for 3 years, 1 month, and 3 days. Love you guys.
Thank you.
Franca is here.
Hi, Franca.
Franca has been an Alpaca member for 18 months.
Thank you.
Summer. Hello, Summer.
Hi, Summer.
Vicuña member for 34 months.
Wow, thank you.
We are expecting a snowstorm tomorrow, 10 plus inches. Ooh, that's going to be big. Have you seen the teaser for the Haunted Chocolatier? Yes. Oh yeah.
Oh yes.
We are salivating at the release.
We're hovering
of
at the buy
that
button.
one. Yes, we know all about
Yes,
it. We're looking forward to it. If you know the release date, let us know. We know it's coming, but we don't know if there's an official release date.
That sounds good.
Elle is back
Hi,
with
Elle.
a super chat. Elle says, Jayda and Mr. InStitches are my favorite celebrity couple.
Thanks.
I didn't know we were celebrities.
Notorious, maybe.
Notorious?
Infamous?
Infamous?
Yeah.
Is that the word?
That's a good word.
That's hilarious. I've learned so much and always have so much fun. Will there be a Tunisian crochet game? Actually, I have come up with a new game, but I'm not going to share those ideas yet. We'll see. We'll see if we get to it. But maybe we'll do something with the Granny Square game and tie it into the Tunisian. That's a great idea.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Absolutely.
We should do that this year.
Yeah. Now that's a challenge.
Let's see here. Hi, guys. Love Tunisian, says Cherry.
Hey, Cherry.
Alpaca member for 21
Thank
months.
you.
Jasmine is here, 5-month silk member. Hi, I just love watching you both. I told my mom about you, and now she's trying this year's calendar blanket. Love you both.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Hook Crochet,
Hi.
30-month silk member. Hi, Jayda. Stay warm up there in Canada.
I think we're going to be getting some
And
snow too.
I think I skipped over some. Hold on a second. Sometimes the chat shoots around. We got a membership milestone from Alan. Alan has been Alpaca member for 4 months. Looking forward to the February calendar blanket
It's coming
square.
Friday. It's coming Friday. I have my swatch done. I'll be showing that to you guys on Friday.
And Vima is here.
Hi, Vima.
Silk member for 18 months.
Thank
Hi,
you.
Jayda. I've tried Tunisian crochet, but after 5 to 6 rows, my hand started to hurt, so I gave up. Is there any way I can, without hurting myself?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, we're going to talk about that too, because manipulating that long hook does take a little bit of getting used to, and it's on my list because several people asked about how to hold the hook, and it is very problematic for people who have a pencil grip.
People were asking about the hooks specifically, like what would be the best starting point for a beginner.
So
you're going to get into that, right?
Yeah. So I've talked about tension, sizing, and curling. Those sort of 3 things are kind of related. We've talked about stitch count and row count. Stitch count and row count, the most important part of this year's blanket. Everything else can just be in the wind if you like. We've talked about how to make a swatch. Super useful, also super cute. Great little thing to add to your project journal if you're keeping one. Blocking, we kind of touched on. Blocking is very helpful for this project, just because there is so much curling, just because tension can be all over the place. So there are multiple ways you can block out a pattern. I recommend you use the one that you are the most comfortable with, because there's really no wrong way to block. Keep in mind the yarn you're using, the fiber you're using. I'm using acrylic, so I can use steam. Do not touch your iron to your crochet ever, ever, ever. Please don't. Don't. Because you'll flatten the stitches. You might burn it. You might melt it. Just don't. Hover. I like to do that because I feel it's quicker. I also feel that when I steam block something, it dries faster. Could just be me. Could just be the very dry house we're in. Not sure. But you can also spritz them with a water spritzer and just, pat it out. You can pin it into place on a towel. You don't necessarily need a lot of room to work on these squares. So if you want to block your squares as you go, I will be blocking my squares as I go, just so that they look nice and they store flat. Remember to let them dry at least 24 hours before you put them away, just to make sure that they're not getting put away wet, because that would be gross. You don't want musty smell showing up in all of your hard work. So blocking, I'm going to be blocking all my squares as I go, and I will probably be blocking my blanket at the end of the project too. But that's just to kind of help counter all the curling. And that's something that comes with Tunisian. It's a little bit different. So another couple questions about the border. We will be putting a border on the blanket at the end of the year. We typically do that, so you can look forward to that. And each square has a little bit of a border around it. Yes, sir?
Someone asked a good question in relation to that. Angela, what if you put a towel on top of the crochet?
Don't press it.
So absolutely not.
Yeah. There is no reason for you to do that. If you're using steam, you steam it. We have tutorials on how to steam block, how to wet block. If you've never used a steam iron before and you're a little bit nervous, just skip that. Go straight to the spritz bottle, because it's, you don't want to burn yourself. It's not difficult though, having said that. And if you are comfortable using an iron, you just hover like, a couple inches, hover over it. The steam goes and the steam's blasting out, right?
Wait, I should zoom in on this.
You steam a little bit. Pat, pull, pat. Steam a little bit more. Pull, pat, steam a little bit more. You just do it in little sections, right? And all you're doing is you're gently letting it lie flat. You're straightening up your edges. And then I would do it on a towel. And then if you feel you want to, you can pin it to the towel just to keep it in place so that when it dries exactly where you put it. But I find, especially with small things like the squares, once you steam it and you lay it flat, it doesn't move. It doesn't want to move anywhere. Do not steam wool because it will want to shrink. So keep your yarn labels depending on what fiber you're using. I don't recommend steam blocking for everything, but spritz water blocking works for everything. You can spritz water block anything. So you can use that on cotton, wool, anything. But steam,
probably the best to stay with that style so that you're always
if you're
safe.
Nervous, like I've been using irons for years and years and years. I've done a lot of ironing. I've done a lot of crafting. I've made my mistakes. I've melted things. I've injured carpet. I've done it all. So I'm talking from
burned things down.
I've never burned anything down, but I have melted carpet. I have I have melted my hard work, all the crochet I've done. I've overblocked, I've oversteamed, I've stretched out. I've learned the hard way what setting can do with acrylic, because when you steam it, you're setting those fibers and they don't typically want to move after that, which is great if you know what you're doing, but problematic if you oversteam it and it stretches out. So if you're uncomfortable, the best thing to do is to go with the spritz and block, or you can get it fully wet and block it, or wash it right up front and block it. It's entirely up to you, but it's best to know the fiber you're working with, and definitely use the blocking situation that you're most comfortable with. So that's all I'll say about that. I'm steam blocking, but I've spritz blocked too. Bigger projects sometimes are easier to do with the spritz blocking. So if like you're working on an entire blanket, sometimes it helps to lay towels down on the floor or the bed or whatever big space you're working on, the kitchen table, the dining room table, the kitchen counter, outside, the patio, the balcony, wherever the big space is that you need. Lay those towels down and just lay it down as flat and even as you can, and then just start spritzing it and just tugging and patting it into place as you go. And then just don't touch it. Just let it lie there and air dry. That helps with bigger things. And the bigger the project, the heavier it is. So the more likely it will stay where you put it when it gets wet. So that's handy too. Blocking is also kind of an art form. There's no real, right way or wrong way to do it. I imagine that the different climates we're in will also affect how the blocking goes. Like if you're in a really warm, humid climate, it's going to take longer for your piece to dry. You know, maybe you might want to do it in the sun, stuff like that. So there's a little bit of practice required. And if you're unsure, here's another good reason to make up a little swatch. Make up a little swatch and block it. See where you are comfortable, see what you're not comfortable with. It's always good to do little tiny practices rather than waiting until the end of all the time and effort you've put into something before you maybe try something for the first time. Like one of the biggest things I see with people who try felting for the first time, so they make something out of wool and then they want to felt it. One of the biggest complaints is that they didn't do it right or didn't work out or they feel like they ruined their project. So it's always really handy to, okay, I've never done felting before. I've crocheted, I've knit, I've used wool, but I've never felted. You know, I've knit, I've crocheted, but I've never steam blocked. Whatever it is, if it's a new technique that you want to try, that's like an add-on technique to something that you're doing that you're comfortable doing, but you've never done it before, always practice on a practice thing, something that doesn't matter. A little swatch. You see it sometimes when people talk about dyeing fabric. They'll say, take a little corner of the fabric and dye it and see how it works. It's always work a swatch. Always work a swatch. Can't stress that enough. Swatches are really great. Okay, back to the border. So each individual square is going to have a little single crochet border that runs all the way around it. Some people have asked if they could put on 2 rows of border on the individual squares, and the answer is absolutely, of course. We're going to be constructing a blanket border that's, well, I'm not going to say too much about it because I don't want to give it away. No spoiling. But I will say that if you want to add an extra row of border to your squares, you can. You can even use double crochet if you'd rather use double crochet as opposed to single crochet. So if you're comfortable kind of like playing with stuff, then that's fine. Just make sure you have the same stitch count all the way around for at least the first row. But if you do want to add another row of stitches to your squares, you of course can, because we will address the border of the entire blanket when we get there, but we'll have in mind that some people may have done that. So don't worry, you can do that too.
Waiting for my window. That coffee looks real good. Wouldn't you just love a sip of that? Oh, water. Okay, that works.
Actually, I still have half a cup of coffee.
We have some supers to chat out or shout out. We have some chat out. We have some super chats to shout out. That's what happens when you're on your 4th cup of coffee.
These are super shouts at this
They're
point.
super shouts. Yeah. So a big shout out to Philip, who has joined our Alpaca.
Welcome, Philip.
Welcome and thank you.
Thank you.
Diane has sent us a super sticker of a really cute little luggage, like it's been stamped like it's out on vacation or out traveling. So that's cute. Really cute.
Thank you.
I love that. Shout out to Kimberly. You're laughing at me. The chat keeps jumping. I don't know why it's doing that. It goes jump and then I lose. Anyway, Kimberly.
Hi, Kimberly.
3-month Silk member. Hi, Jayda and Mr. InStitches. I almost missed you. Thank God for lunch breaks. I am loving work with Tunisian.
Yay!
Wendy, a big thank you to Wendy, who has joined our Merino level. And Aphrodite is in the house today.
Aphrodite.
Hello, Aphrodite. Aphrodite sent us a whopping $25 super chat.
Thank you. Oh my goodness gracious.
Hi, Jayda and Mr. InStitches, waving madly and loving the Tunisian.
Yay!
Excellent.
Thank you.
Carla has sent us a $5 super chat.
Thank you, Carla.
I find that I use the pencil hold when I do regular crochet and the knife hold when I do Tunisian. That's interesting.
Yes.
Gina is here, 22-month Silk member.
Thank you,
Hi,
Gina.
Thanks for keeping me company while I clean.
Oh, you're welcome. There's nothing better than a little bit of company while you're doing
When
chores.
you're done, you can come and clean over here. Lisa is in the house.
Hi, Lisa.
17-month Alpaca member.
Thank
Just
you.
saying hi. Love your channel. It's my favorite.
Thank you. Thank you.
Shelly, 39-month Vicuña member.
Thank
I
you.
just love you guys.
Hi,
You
Shelley.
always make me happy with your laughter.
Thank you.
thank you everyone for your support.
And thanks for being here.
And
yes.
Thanks for being here today. We have 350 people
wow.
in the live stream today.
Thanks. Hi, everybody.
Hello,
Thanks for
everyone.
hanging out with us
Thanks
on
for
a
hanging out with us.
Tuesday in the middle of the day. It's middle of the day here.
Mm-hmm.
Wherever might be there. Okay, so we're going to jump to how to hold the hook. So this is probably my favorite part of today's live stream. All right. This is fun. Okay, so the reason now I don't know this for a fact. This might be an excellent poll, Mr. InStitches.
Oh, let's do a poll. I love polls.
The poll question is.
All right, I'm listening. I'm ready. I'm ready. Is this part of my? Is this part of my?
This
agreement?
is part. This is
the
part
poll
of the
is.
The poll is.
It was the zooming
It's
in
the
that
zooming
wasn't.
I have to make you extra buns.
Okay,
yeah.
let's do this.
Okay. Did you crochet first or knit first? Now,
what do you say when learning?
Yeah,
is that what you meant?
Yeah. So, like, did you come to crochet because you knit? Did you come to crochet just for crochet? I want to know if you crocheted first or knit first. And if you've never knit, that's fine too. You can just say crochet. I have a theory. My theory, now I could be completely wrong, but I'm a self-taught crocheter. I learned to knit before I learned to crochet. And I took a little knitting class with my little 4-H group. And my girlfriend and I, my best friend at the time, we learned how to knit. We were like 10 or 11 years old. And of course, when you hold knitting needles, you tend to hold them like this. At least when you're small, you do. You pick them up, and then by the time you're working, you're kind of like, when they're really long, I was so little I could stick them under my armpits, and that's kind of how I controlled them because they were kind of unruly.
Adorable.
So I would hold them, and you hold most of your work in a knitting needle kind of close to the top. You're not holding it at the end. You're holding it at the top because you're wrapping yarn and you're slipping your needle underneath the loop of the other one, and you're keeping control of those little unruly loops by literally grabbing them, like you've got your hands on them, you've got your mitts on your knitting. So because I learned to knit first, and this is how I would hold my knitting needles, when I picked up a crochet hook, I just picked it up the same way. I believe I am a knife grip because I knit first. Now, I would love to know how many of you knit first but are pencil grips. Mama is a pencil grip. I am pretty sure Mama knit first. So I would love to hear her take on this.
I think so.
Yeah, I'm going to have to ask her. But I would like to, so she's a pencil grip. She holds it and does the work with. In fact, if you've seen her, we have a video of that, of her crocheting. She actually just drops the hook in between her thumb and forefinger. I can't even do it. So it's like it's connected to the yarn, and she's doing everything with one hand. Like just she's wrapping yarn, she's dropping the hook, she's like it's sliding back,
pushing the cat out of the way. All with one hand, sipping her coffee.
So I would like to know her story. I don't know whether it's because she was taught to crochet by someone else, but the reason that I picked up a hook and held it like a knife, held it like I was holding a knitting needle, is because after I learned to knit, I found a book at my secondhand store, and it showed what the crochet stitches are supposed to look like, but never did it show how to hold your hook. So I just held it like I would a knitting needle because that's what I was familiar with in that world. And as a result, it works for me. As a result, as a Tunisian stitcher, it works for me as well because I just naturally pick up that long hook again, the way I would a knitting needle, the way I would my crochet hook. So it's maybe a little easier for us knife grips to make the transition to crochet, Tunisian crochet or crow hooking, just because we already kind of handle the hook that way. So if you are a pencil grip, you might find it helpful to get comfortable holding the hook with your whole hand, and just don't be afraid to put your hand all over those loops. I know as a crocheter, we tend to not touch the loop. We tend to let it sort of fly around on the hook. I'll just put this back in my little sampler. So we're used to this. We're used to sort of holding the yarn where, you touch you wrap with one hand, maybe you're holding your work down here, but this hand doesn't really touch the fabric that you're working on. It doesn't touch all the loops. But when you're working on a long one, so maybe I'll take apart my little sampler here. I'll pick up a bunch. So let's see. I'll just do the same thing. I'll do 12.
That hook looks gigantic compared to the other one. While you're doing that, I am going to read out some super chats and membership milestones. So let me go back a bit here.
Okay.
They're coming in thick and fast.
Thanks, everybody.
Everyone's also putting in the chat what they learned first.
Love
also, if you can find the poll, it should be above the chat. Cast your vote in the poll. We have 164 votes so far.
Nice.
Okay, so let's see here. Where did we leave off? I think it was Colleen. Colleen sent us a super chat.
Thank you. Thank you.
No
very
message.
Much, Colleen.
Just a super chat. Thank you so much, Colleen. Appreciate that. Emily sent us a super chat. Hi, love your channel.
Hi, Emily. Thank you.
Would you be willing to do a Tunisian color change tutorial? Maybe just a washcloth. Looks like there's different ways.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, great suggestion.
Oh, yeah.
I'll write that down.
Lots of different ways. Lisa has been a Silk member for 39 months. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you, Lisa.
Morgana has sent us a whopping $20 super chat.
Thank you, Morgana.
One tip from a Tahitian crocheter. If you have trouble seeing the stitch, attach a needle to a yarn 3 times the width of a different color and run under the loops.
Okay.
You want me to repeat that?
No, I think I get it.
So you can see the stitches
So
better.
if you're talking about, I'm going to assume, please correct me if I'm wrong, and you don't have to super chat, just mention it in the chat. We're talking about, say, the front vertical bars. So if you're having trouble seeing the front vertical bars, you would just like run a different colored yarn all the way through it. So it's like just kind of like weaving so that those bars stand up and you can sort of see them standing out against the rest of your yarn. I think that may be what you mean. Either way,
we'll discuss it in the chat.
That's an absolutely excellent idea.
Yes, love that.
That's something I want to say is when you're crocheting or knitting or Tunisian crocheting, Morgana makes an excellent point. Don't be afraid to work with what you're doing. You don't have to treat it like it's this super fragile, thing. If you need to clip things to it, add in stitch markers, hook something in on the front, like don't pull it out of whack. Like, how far you can push your own work, but especially when you're working on sample pieces and everything, in order to get used to being able to see what those stitches are, or where the loops are, or where the vertical bar lands, or any of the things that happen as we're working through the Tunisian crochet, don't be afraid to use little stitch markers, use clips, run yarn under something, maybe run yarn under a bunch of loops so that that those loops are busy doing something over here or whatever, because that helps, right? All of it basically gets you used to and comfortable with seeing specific stitches in specific stitch patterns. So yes, excellent tip. Thank you very much for sharing that.
A big thank you to Catherine, who sent us a super chat.
Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Tiffany, super chat from Tiffany. Tiffany says, crochet pencil grip, almost done with January block. I've been holding it sometimes pencil grip, but when I get so many on the hook, I like the knife grip.
Yes.
I did like the knife grip. Yeah.
Yeah, when you get more and more, it helps. Yeah. Don't be, yeah. So
Elle is back.
Hi, Elle.
Super chat from Elle. So does simple equal single crochet? I'm scared of knitting needles, although they may double as a self-protection device. Yeah, good.
Simple stitch is not the same. It's got similar concepts to the single crochet. Like, the single crochet, you have a loop on your hook. You insert your hook into the next stitch, pull up a loop. So you have 2 loops on your hook, and then you yarn over and pull back through both. So the yarn over, pull back through 2 loops is what is the crochet. So the actual hooking. For example, if you work a double crochet and you have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull back through 2, yarn over, pull back through 2. So you're building the stitch height-wise with treble crochet, with double treble crochet. Every time you add pre loops to your hook, before you pick up a loop in the next stitch, you're always going to, most of the time, you're going to yarn over, back through 2, yarn over, back through 2. Now, sometimes you yarn over and back through a whole bunch. That creates a squish stitch. Maybe it creates a bullion stitch. If you've got a whole lot of loops there, maybe it creates a half double crochet, a half treble crochet. So you can really play with that loopage thing when you're just dealing with the one little hook and the one little loop. The difference is that when you're working Tunisian crochet, you've got all your loops on your hook, for half of the row. So the forward pass, you get all of your loops up on your hook. And if you're, looping back and pulling through 3 or pulling through 4, you're changing the concept of the stitch work, but you're working sideways, like a typewriter. Think of an old-fashioned typewriter. Fixed, fixed. So unlike crochet, where you can build tall and build out and build sideways and build, three-dimensional, and you're doing it just with always that back to that single loop on the hook, back to that single loop on the hook, and you're really only building one stitch at once. You are building all the stitches at the same time when you work Tunisian crochet, kind of like knitting. So with knitting, you always have all your loops on the hook. You're never not taking all the loops off until you're actually at the end when you're casting off. So you're basically, with knitting, you're transferring all those loops to the other needle, all those loops to the other needle. With Tunisian, you're putting all those loops on and then taking them all off. All those loops on, taking them all off, just like a typewriter. So and that's why the hooking is the same. So yarn over and pull back through 1, that's a chain stitch. Yarn over, pull back through 2, that's a typical single crochet stitch. But because we're working left to right, all those loops at once, where the loop lands is different with Tunisian than it is with single crochet. So I probably am really not explaining that as well as I could. I will try to come up with different ways to explain that as we go through this year, because I know it is weird. That's why everybody says the best thing they can say is Tunisian is a hybrid between knitting and crochet, because it really is. And it's so much fun and it's so fast. Okay, I'm going to do this one more time. I'm going to pick up all the loops. So see, look at that. Even while I'm talking, I can't stop myself from crocheting. I meant to demonstrate something, and I'm like, I'm just going to keep crocheting.
You're an addict. Crochet
I
addict.
am. Once you get the hang of Tunisian crochet, it's like anything else. All of a sudden, it's all you can think about. It's all you want to do. You see those new patterns. You'll find little shortcuts. You yourself will develop little shortcuts that work best with your hand, your grip, your yarn, the size of the hook you're using. And you won't even notice it at first. It's like when you first started crocheting and you were fiddling with the hook and you were fiddling with the yarn and you were trying to get even tension, and chaining something was so annoying. All of a sudden, one day you wake up and you realize you're just zipping along and you're like, oh my gosh. And look at what you're doing with your hands. Look at how you're feeding your yarn. Was that how you started? No, it's because you developed a style. It's like all of us have a unique signature. It's because you've developed a style. You will speed up. You will find little shortcuts, and you will not even notice until all of a sudden you realize, I'm good at this.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. While you are crocheting with a Tunisian stitch, you're going to be moving those loops around on your hook a lot. This is another reason that nice, easy tension is important, because you don't want them so tight that you can't get your hook through them, right? So you should be able to drive your hook back and forth through those things. Don't be afraid to put your hand right on top of those loops. Just, get them right up to the top. You're going to have a whole bunch of them filling up your needle. So you can squish them all up. But if you squish them all up, that makes them want to all come off the end, right? So if you're a knitter, you'll know that it's a constant battle of having enough loops to the front of the needle so that you can, knit, versus keeping control of them. So you don't want all of your loops crushed up against the end of the hook. So just so you can grab the hook, because that puts too much pressure on those loops and they become spring loaded and they want to fly off the end. So you squish a few up just to the end. Don't be afraid to hold on to all those loops. Don't be afraid. Those loops are not, it's okay. You're only going to be holding them once. It's not like you're going to damage them. So don't be afraid to have your hand right on those loops. That also allows you to a little more control. So if you yarn over, you should have just enough flexibility. So you squeeze those loops up to the end of your hook, where maybe you hold on to them by putting your finger on it. Just everything's temporary. You don't have to keep a constant grip on things. Yarn over, and maybe you hold the yarn in place. Maybe you pull it, you physically bend the entire hook. Maybe you switch back to holding it back here. Maybe you just do all of the crocheting by manipulating the fabric that hangs off the bottom of the hook. Whatever is most comfortable for you. All the loops are going to feel differently as you work. So that first one that comes off might be the most difficult. Halfway through might be the most difficult. All the ones at the end might be coming off so fast you find that the most difficult. So you're going to notice different feels to crocheting with the Tunisian hook as you work an entire row of those loops off. So the ones at the front might be stiff, the ones in the middle might be stiff, the ones at the end might be moving too fast. Don't be afraid to grip that hook. Don't be afraid to keep changing your grip on the hook. And that leads me to Vima's question earlier of what can I do if I feel like I'm cramping up? First, if you feel you're cramping up, put it down. Put it down. Do not continue if you are in pain or if you feel tightness. That's just kind of good advice for like anything.
Change what you're doing.
Change what you're doing.
Otherwise,
so put it down, get your arms moving, maybe move your shoulders. We tend to tighten up when we're like not really thinking or concentrating. You see like kids drawing it and they got the tongue stuck out. So cute. We do that. We tighten up when we're thinking. So it's really important to like let it all go, right? Put it down. Have a glass of water, go for a walk, go wash a couple dishes, just change it up. Maybe massage your hands a little bit. Maybe, squeeze your hands a little bit. If you suffer from chronic problems like I do, be careful. You know your body. If your body's starting to complain, listen to it. Listen to it. There's a reason it's saying, excuse me, I need a break. I want a cookie, whatever it's telling you.
I don't know about the I want a cookie part, but
always listen to your body when it's telling you it wants a cookie. Just listen. So if it says, oh, I'm tight or I'm uncomfortable, you might need to change your position. Maybe you need to stand up. Maybe you need to sit down. Maybe you need to recross your legs. Maybe you need to put a pillow up underneath your arm. This is a different hook than your regular crochet hook. Maybe you do need to change the way you're holding your hook just for a little bit. There's nothing saying that you can't work the pencil. Look at me. I can't do the pencil grip with a regular hook, and I am comfortably doing the pencil grip all of a sudden. Why? Because I need to manipulate this hook in a different way. So don't be afraid to play around. Wow, this is actually so comfortable.
Ding, 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 ding.
Oh my God, I've never, ever done this.
I would like to get to a few of our super chats here. If you can pause for a moment.
Yeah, I can pause. Can I just say,
you just discovered something new. See, you're teaching yourself. You're teaching everyone and yourself.
That was actually not so difficult to do. And I cannot crochet, but I can pick up loops using the pencil grip. So don't be afraid to change your grip and keep changing it. And that will also help with stiffness.
So a big thank you to Maria, who has joined our family. Welcome to Alpaca.
Thank you.
A big thank you to Joanna. Sent us a $15 super chat.
Thank you.
I just love the Tunisian crocheting, and I'm pretty sure my mom, if she was still with us, would love it as well, as I learned my love of knitting from her. Love you guys.
I love it. Thank you.
Carolyn with a $5 super chat.
Thank you, Carolyn.
I hold my hook the same way I do when I'm holding a pencil.
So you have a pencil grip.
Pencil grip.
Unless you hold a pencil like this. I'm just saying. Or like this.
We got a $20 super chat from Michelle.
Thank you, Michelle.
Michelle says, how do you maintain a consistent width? My samples tend to be wider at the bottom and narrower at the top.
Easy peasy. So practice. That's the first and foremost thing. There's only ever two things to check. First one is stitch count. Make sure that your stitch count has not changed. So if you started with 38 stitches or 38 loops, you should still be working 38 loops when you are however many rows into it, if you're working on the Tunisian stitch block square. So we start with 38 stitches and you should always have 38 all the way through. If you're short, that will explain why it's narrowing. If you still have 38 stitches, so the stitch count isn't the problem, then it's definitely tension. And tension is the biggest issue with Tunisian. So in fact, with a lot of things, knitting, crocheting, those first few rows are sometimes loose because you're getting started, you're fiddling around with the yarn, you're fiddling around with the hook. If you're new to Tunisian, you're getting used to wielding this big hook, which is another reason why earlier before I said I highly recommend doing a swatch, because that swatch, that sampler, will get you comfortable with the stitch. It'll get you comfortable with manipulating that new hook. It'll get you comfortable with the yarn. Maybe you're using a yarn weight that you don't normally. So always work a little sampler first before you launch into the new one or the full project. And as you work, you will speed up. You will possibly tighten up because you are getting comfortable or you're you know, now you're really trying to think about it or you're concentrating. Either way, tension regularly changes throughout a project. This is something everybody deals with no matter how long they've been knitting or crocheting. And it's always good to stop, take a breather, relax, try to stop every couple of rows and just go, oh, you know, shake it out. Right. I got to calm down. I got to relax. I got to unwind. If you tried all that and it's still giving you trouble and you still tighten up despite your best efforts halfway through, just switch up to a bigger hook halfway through. There's nothing saying you can't go from this guy. So, you know, you finish off your last row and you're like, that was just too tight, to switching up to an even bigger one and just continue with the same square with a slightly larger hook. That will help loosen up those stitches. Also, if you've got tightness and it looks a little uneven, blocking is magical. You can always block out the tight parts. So don't touch the bottom loosey parts, only to block or focus on blocking the tighter parts, sort of loosening up those stitches so that they size out to match up with the larger ones. So there's lots of workarounds. Putting the border on the whole thing will often help tighten up the bottom stitches that are looser, because by that point you're quite warmed up and you're working on something that's bigger and heavier. So a border will often help bring the whole thing into alignment. So stitch count, tension check, do the sample swatch, try blocking, and remember that the border will often help fix a lot of things too.
Someone had a question here. This is from Norma. Norma asks, how do I stop it from rolling?
It's going to roll. That's Tunisian. Some Tunisian stitches roll more than others. In fact, sometimes if you're kind of in the world of Tunisian crochet, you might see hook size, yarn size, curl amount, like how much it wants to curl, just so you kind of know ahead of time that this is going to curl. The Tunisian simple stitch one that we did, I call it my little burrito. So by the time I've gotten several rows into a Tunisian project, I've got it looks like a burrito hanging off the bottom of the hook. There are a ton of things that you can do to, if you work the back loops and you do this and then you try that and you stand upside down on your head. Everybody's got 100 tips for not letting it roll. Don't worry about the roll. The roll isn't important. The roll is just kind of part of it. Yarn knitting rolls. There's a million tips for everything for dealing with the roll. It's going to roll if you're tight. It's going to roll if you're loose. It's just sort of the nature of having, if you look at Tunisian, so here I'm working the simple stitch. The back is the bumpy part. Looks like the inside of a stocking net sweater. The front is flat and even. So
can you show that again while I zoom in a bit? So
the back is bumpy. You can see all of those little bumps, right? Tell me you can see them.
Yep.
Yep. And the front is nice and flat. So because Tunisian doesn't turn at the end of every row, and you don't have stitches facing opposite directions, which helps keep something on the balance, you've got all of the flat stitches on one side and all of the tight stitches on the other. It's going to naturally want to do this just because we're not turning our work at the end of every row. So knitting is the same. Knitting, if you're working some stitches, not all, but some stitches like the stockinette stitch or the knitting niche stitch, it wants to really roll. The garter stitch, excuse me. It's just going to happen. So that's why I say I'm going to be blocking all of my squares. When you put that border on, that single crochet border, it will help. It'll help, as you work, you can flatten it out a little bit with your hands, but it is going to just turn itself into a burrito, and some burritos will be more burrito-y than others. Yes, that's a technical term.
That is a technical term.
There will be more.
It's in the dictionary.
There will be some
more burrito-y. What does it mean? We need to
Tunisian crochet reference. When something is more burrito-y, it means it has more of a curl. Yeah. We need a fun crochet dictionary.
What does the term more burrito-y mean? And how is it spelled?
And how is it spelled? And what does it look like? Ooh. Yeah, so some of them are going to spin more than or curl more than others, and that's why I'm going to be blocking as I go. So don't worry about it. It's just natural.
We have a super chat from Alan.
Alan, thank you.
Alan sent us $5. Thanks, Alan. Alan says, I found in my research that Tunisian is unusual that loops are worked into different extents to create circles, triangles, and other geometric shapes.
You can do so much with Tunisian crochet. So you think knitting has a crazy variety and crochet has a crazy variety. Tunisian has a crazy variety. And if you are playing with your yarn and your new Tunisian hook this year, don't be afraid to just try anything, try everything, stick your hook in different places, stick your, try to work backwards, try to work forwards, try to turn it around and both. It doesn't matter. You might discover something on your own that, exists with an actual name somewhere. In fact, some of the crochet stitches we're going to be working on this year, you might find yourself saying, oh my gosh, I was fooling around and I was trying something like that. And oh, is that what it's called? So yeah, you can, depending on where you put that hook and what loop you use and how many wraps and how many loops and how much crocheting, the sky's the limit. There are so many things that you can do with Tunisian crochet, just like, any of the other yarny things we do. That's why I get so excited, because just when I think I've learned it all, I've been crocheting for over 30 years. And I haven't even brushed the top of Tunisian crochet. It's this whole other discipline that it's been sitting there waiting for me to just sort of jump in. I get so excited, my brain just shorts out and I have to go play a video game for a while.
A shout out to Caroline, who has been a Alpaca member for 19 months.
Thank you, Caroline.
Caroline says, looking forward to trying this when I have time.
Yes. Oh, that's another thing, guys. All of our videos are curated by Mr. InStitches for our calendar blankets over on our website. We have it's actually called the calendar blanket page.
Yes.
So if you are interested in past calendar blanket projects or the current calendar blanket project, you can always, if you don't want to bother trying to navigate YouTube itself, you can just go to JaydaInStitches.com and you can click on the calendar blanket page, and he has all of our calendar blanket projects curated there. All the videos are in order. It's a great place to go if you want to just sort of, weed out the noise of YouTube and just know what goes in what order. If you're on a tablet or a phone and you land on JaydaInStitches.com, at the top of your screen, you're going to see a bunch of little bars. That's actually the menu for the entire website. So click on that, boom, it'll open up all the individual pages. You'll see our pattern workshop page there. That's where all the free patterns are. You'll see the tools page. That's where we've got really helpful graphs and things. And then you'll see the calendar blanket page there as well. And that is where all of our calendar blanket projects are. So if you don't have time, if you've got a big project, if you've got WIPs you're trying to get through, don't worry, all of those videos are going to be curated in one tidy spot over there on our webpage, so you can go there anytime, any year, and you can avail yourself of all of those projects.
This is a good opportunity to talk about what we were discussing earlier, to help people learn how to use the subscription feed versus the home feed
on YouTube,
because we are hearing a lot of people that say, I haven't seen your videos in a long time. I got this message late. Mm-hmm. So if you want to get into that.
Yeah, that's another thing we've been seeing a lot of lately. So YouTube, when you sign into YouTube, or if you're always signed in on your phone or something, when you open up the YouTube app, it lands you in your home page, your home feed. And the home feed on YouTube it's fantastic. Basically, the algorithm says, oh, we see who you're subscribed to. We see what you like to watch. Here's more of that. Here's someone you may never have seen before. Here's something in that same, genre that you might be interested in. Here, you also might see the odd video from people you're subscribed to, and they might be older videos, and you might be thinking, why am I getting served this? It's because it's your home screen. So your home feed on YouTube serves to introduce you to new YouTubers, introduce you to new content that's in the same vein as the stuff you're watching.
You're always defaulted to that.
And you're defaulted to that.
Yeah.
So that is not where your subscriptions land. Your subscriptions land in your subscription feed. And everybody you're subscribed to, all the videos they put out in the chronological order that they come out will land on your subscription feed. Mm-hmm. So this is how I use YouTube. When I log into YouTube, whether I'm logging in on the computer or I'm opening up the app on my phone, I let it load and I immediately go to the subscription page. So if you're on a phone or a tablet, typically subscriptions are down at the bottom. There's home subscriptions, there's a bunch of things at the bottom, but subscriptions is the one you want to click on. Subscriptions, I think, are usually listed at the side if you're on a computer. So I go to my subscription feed. I go through the feed to make sure I'm up to date with everybody I'm watching. Make sure there's nothing I haven't missed. And then if I've exhausted that, Then I go to my home feed and it's like, okay, YouTube, what do you got for me? What's new? What's new? Show me something I haven't seen before. So I always start with my subscription feed and then I go to the home feed, even though when you first log in, you're defaulted to the home screen. So if you're wondering why you haven't seen us or you haven't seen somebody else you're following, or you think, gee, you know, I was used to be subscribed to so-and-so, it could be it's just because you've been on the home screen and YouTube isn't feeding you any of the stuff from that particular subscription, or they're saying, hey, we noticed you're watching a lot more of this lately, so we're not going to bother showing you that, you know.
Yeah.
That's all it's doing.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, trying to help you find more stuff. So always check your subscription feed first. That way, you know, you haven't missed anything from the people you want to follow, and then see what else is out there.
And then go to the home feed. Yeah. That's the best way to navigate YouTube.
Yeah.
So
that's how I do it.
We've got a few more supers. So did I get? Okay. I got Caroline. So this is from Elle. Elle is sending more super chats.
Thank you, Elle.
Just as in life, just gotta let it roll. That's what the Tunisian.
That's the burrito.
Love our InStitches family.
Me too.
Wendy sent us a $5 super chat.
Thank you,
Jayda,
Wendy.
I find you so inspiring. I am glad I came across your channel. I recently purchased your calendar and gift list.
Thank you.
It has already been helpful. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you.
And thank you for your support. We appreciate that.
Yeah. By the way, guys, we had a little flash sale just for the fun of it on Sunday. It was the 29th.
It was, the flash sale was Saturday.
No, Sunday. Wasn't Sunday the 29th? No, you're
Saturday.
right. Saturday was
that was the flash sale, yeah. Maybe we should have another flash sale. Maybe we should,
yeah.
Just to celebrate our wonderful live stream.
And
today.
the fact that it's February.
You know what, guys? When this live stream's over, we're going to do another flash sale because there were a lot of people that...
Right, they missed it.
It'll just be for the rest of the day.
For the rest of the day. Yeah, that's fun. Okay, yeah. So we had a little flash sale on Saturday, and I guess we're gonna do it again after the live stream.
So I'll link the Etsy shop.
And thank you.
But
to
wait
everybody.
till we set up our sale.
Wait. Yeah.
So you get.
But thank you to everybody who popped over and picked up something. We really appreciate it. It was fun. We like to do that every little once in a while. They're kind of
flash sales are fun.
Flash sales are fun. Yeah. And because we keep adding stuff, we've got 370 listings.
Yeah, something like that.
Of all of our
We've been at this a long time.
We've got crochet patterns, we've got coloring sheets, we've got all sorts of goodies. So we will have a little flash sale this afternoon. Thank you, Mr. InStitches. So watch for that. We'll also post a note in the community feed when that happens, just to remind everybody. So don't go yet. So if there's something you want, just wait. We'll have a little sale on. Okay. I think we've talked burrito. I think we've talked holding on to things. We've talked yarn weights. Oh, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to talk about the kinds of hooks we've got, the ones I have, like the actual brands, and how to size them. So this is really important. So I'm going to take my little sample. I love this. Once I get going, I just can't stop. So I'm going to just pull this off, and there we go. So I have 3 different kinds of Tunisian hooks, 3 different kinds of crochet hooks, crow hooks, Tunisian hooks, Afghan hooks. What I don't have yet is a short double-ended hook, which I have on my little list of things to go by. I have got quite the list going. A short double-sided hook is basically the size of a regular crochet hook. It's got the exact same sized hook on the other side, not to be confused with crochet hooks that are double-sided but have different sized hooks on either end so that you can kind of like have one hook with 2 different sizes on it. I have one of those, but that's not what that's not what I'm talking about. So double-ended crochet hook is the same sized hook on either side. And it's for crocheting Tunisian stitch in the round or crocheting with 2 different colors as you work. So once I get my hands on one of those, I will demonstrate further. But I don't have one of those yet. And I am looking forward to getting one. I do have longer double-sided hooks. This is the one you're going to see in all of our Tunisian Calendar Blanket videos because it's a beautiful bright blue and it's a 5.5 millimeter. And this is the one I thought would make the most sense to use for our videos because it is going to show up so drastically against our yarn. These both came in a pack. These are called crow hooks because they're double-ended and they're the same size up and down. These are by Boye, B-O-Y-E, Boye. Boye crow hooks. I know that this is a 5.5 millimeter and this is a 6.5 millimeter, but there is no sizing written on it. And I have long since lost the packaging. If you don't have the sizing written on your hooks, which can happen if you've got a pony like this. This is a pony. So pony's a brand. You can tell by the actual pony on the end of the hook. It says 5mm on the other side. That's great. But you know what? These can rub off after a while. And if you've got really old hooks, that might not be very legible anymore. I have knitting needles where you can't read anything on the end. We have a video on how to size knitting needles and crochet hooks if you don't have a sizer, or if you're just sort of in a rush and you're not really sure, or you're not really sure that what it says maybe is accurate. You need a measuring tape or a ruler. Ruler is good because a ruler is stiff. Measuring tape is a little less stiff. So a ruler is actually really good for this. And you want to look at the metric side. So you want the metric side of your measuring tape or your ruler. And you pick up your hook and you lay your measuring tape or your ruler right across the edge of it. And what you're doing is you're looking at the diameter.
I'm zooming in for this one.
So I'm going to, you just
give everyone a better look here. Okay, that's good.
Oops. Okay, I'm going to try and hold
this. Want me to hold the hook for you?
No, I got it. So what you're doing is you're looking at the diameter. So if you were to sort of like cut it down the middle, you're looking for the diameter, not the circumference. Circumference is measuring all the way around. The diameter is measuring across. So a knitting needle and a crochet hook is sized by the diameter of the size of the actual hook, or the working end of the hook or needle. So you hold your measuring tape, metric side out, or the ruler across it, and you count the little tiny bits. So you're looking at millimeters. This is why the millimeters is...
So from my angle here, looking through the screen, it looks like it's 6 millimeters.
This is...
It's a little blurry, but...
Yeah, this is 6 or 6.5.
Okay.
Probably,
yeah. Well,
maybe it is 6. I'm looking at the reverse of it, so I can't really tell. But this is the one I'm using. So I know this one is 5.5 millimeter. So let me hold it up properly. Can you see that?
Yeah, that looks like it. To me, from here, it looks like 5. Like 5, it's right in between those two.
So I know this one.
So it's 5.5. 5.5 makes
half.
sense because you wouldn't really see that, especially with the.
Yeah, 0.5 millimeter is a pretty small measurement, right? But that is how you can get a really good estimation of the size of your hooks or needles. If you've lost the sizing, you've lost the labels, whatever. So if you don't have that information anymore, that's how you can give yourself a general idea of how big that hook is, if you feel it's important. So these are boy, same as this one, my other little hook that I was demonstrating, how you can do a swatch on the little one. So that's fine. You don't have to wield the big hook if you don't want to. This is Pony, like I mentioned. Pony is another manufacturer of hooks. This is the first Afghan hook I ever got. It's got the actual pony on it. Pony also makes wool needles, like those needles that I use that has the little loop eye that everybody is excited about because they're the best. They're easy to actually thread up. And they make really pretty multicolored aluminum ones. So Pony is a good brand. I've got Pony for several things. And this was the first hook I ever bought, the first Afghan hook. I've used it now on and off since I got it. And this is over 20 years old. That's how long I've had that hook.
Yeah, it looks like it's in good condition.
It's in excellent condition. It's a very good aluminum. So that's Pony. This one is Suzanne Bates, just like Suzanne Bates makes like the crystal hooks and stuff. This is the one that is made for really wide things like sweaters and blankets. So you're going to have so many loops that you need a place to store them all. And this is by her. So she also has, Suzanne Bates also does just the regular Tunisian hooks. And I imagine she probably has some crow hooks, but I haven't seen any. But here in Canada, we don't necessarily get the chance to see everything. We kind of get we get the version light of everything.
We get the light version of everything.
Yeah, we get the smaller.
We get the watered down, smaller version of everything.
Yeah, we get the less version of everything.
We get the less version. We get the lesser version.
Yeah, so those are the 3 brands I've got. I've got Boy, I've got Pony, and I've got Suzanne Bates. And that isn't to say that I'm not looking for more, or I'm not going to be collecting more, but those are the hooks I had, and those are the hooks that we started this project with. So I am really looking forward this year to getting my hands on some new Afghan hooks. I'm going to try and get them from different brands. We're going to do a little comparison to see how they work out. But so far, I can say I love those hooks that I've got. So if you're not sure, you haven't tried anything else yet, or you're familiar with those brands, then at least you know that they also make those other Afghan hooks. So that's what I've been using. And that's how you can size them if you've had them for a while like me.
Mhm.
I know a lot of you said that, yeah, I cleaned up the craft room and I found my Afghan hook. I didn't realize I had one. If you've had one for a long time and you've lost the packaging or the writing is sort of rubbed off, then now at least you know how you can kind of size them. If you have a sizer, and that's usually like a little metal thing that you drop the hook and the needle through, and it tells you when you get one that fits perfectly, that's the size. If you have one of those work too. You can use those. But if you don't have one, that's the
easy way to do it.
This is the super DIY way of being able to size them. So, all right. Okay, you're gonna read a few things. I keep stretching my legs out and I keep bumping the table. Sorry, guys.
Give me a little bit of time on stage.
Is that part of the contract?
You know what? I don't think it is. You intentionally left that part out. I need to read out some supers.
Marvelous. Okay.
So a big shout out to Kimberly. It's been a member for 8 months.
Thank you, Kimberly.
Thank you, Jayda and Mr. InStitches. Big heart. Thank you.
Thank you. Am I doing it right? Yay.
Yeah.
I love that.
Let me see.
Heart with wings, right?
You know what? That might have been the only one.
Is that the only one?
Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay. Well, in that case, I think that I have answered.
I did want to mention something. I'm seeing
questions?
a lot of questions in the chat that some of the questions aren't fully related to what we're talking about.
Okay.
So I just want to let anyone know that if your question about crochet or any of our patterns wasn't answered, leave a comment in this video after it's archived or any video on our YouTube channel.
Yeah, especially if it's pertinent
and
to
we
that
will get to
tutorial.
your question.
Yes.
Yeah,
we were really trying to keep it up to Tunisian today, and we were trying to answer the most commonly asked ones, just so when this archives, if anybody's got questions about Tunisian, they know they can go here and they can kind of like let the information wash over them.
And I just want to remind everyone, spur of the moment, we're going to do our little mini, we're going to do a second flash sale.
We're going to have a flash sale
for today only.
Over at our Etsy shop.
So check that out.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll try to get that within half an hour of us closing down the stream.
Yeah.
It does take us a little time to move things around.
Okay.
But,
now, do you want to know?
And we'll post about it.
Do you want to know about the poll?
Yes, I want to hear about the poll.
Okay, so
to ask about that.
If anyone, I'm going to do another 10 or 20 seconds. If you haven't voted yet, vote in the poll.
Did you start?
We have 360 votes so far. Whoa, that's the most ever.
I learned to knit first, and then I taught myself how to crochet.
Mama InStitches taught me how to knit when I was like little, 8 or 9 or 10 or 12, somewhere in there. And I tried it. I remember liking it, but I didn't stick to it. But she did teach me some stuff, some stitches. And I thought, I remember enjoying it when I remember finding it fun.
Yeah, I remember I liked learning it. I remember that I felt it moved slowly. So as like a 10 or 11-year-old, it felt like it moved slowly. I do remember enjoying learning different stitches. And I remember my brain trying to, remember the difference between like the knit stitch and the purl stitch. So I remember all that being kind of cloggish, like clunky. Like I was like, and then I turned 13 or 14, and all of a sudden my brain just I was like, I need to knit something. Oh yeah, knitting. I can remember how to knit. And I picked it up again, and I became obsessed.
There you go.
And then I taught myself how to knit in the round on double pointed needles, and even my own grandmother didn't know how to do that. And I started making mittens, and I started making hats, and I taught myself how to crochet because I was like, I can't get enough of this world. I taught myself to tat. I taught myself all sorts of things. And then when the round looms came out,
forget it.
Jayda's
gone. All right. So the votes are still flying in.
Great,
all right, guys, 10 more seconds and I'll shut it down. You're going to like this.
I am. This is so neat.
Yeah. We'll wait till we get to 380 votes.
I'm excited about the Tunisian this year.
Everyone's looking forward to this week's square.
I'm very excited about it. I think one of the reasons I am excited about Tunisian this year is because it is a hybrid between knitting and crochet. So if you've come to the crochet first and you think knitting is a little intimidating, this will ease you into knitting. And if you are a knitter and you're kind of new to crochet, this will ease you into crochet.
Perfect.
And if you like both, then this is a marriage made in heaven, because you can add Tunisian to knitting. You can add Tunisian to crochet. You can learn how to add crochet onto knitting and knitting onto crochet. This is this beautiful blending of those two disciplines. And it knits it all together. All right. So what are we? Let's
Look at you with all the crazy puns.
all the puns.
All right, you ready? We got 381 votes.
Wow.
The question for the poll was, drum roll, did you crochet first or knit first when you were learning? So 74% crochet was their first learned craft.
Wow,
when it comes to these two. And knitting was 25% of the vote.
Okay.
So a large
wonderful.
difference for crochet.
Yeah.
I wonder if that has something to do with the YouTube channels.
I don't know.
Or the internet in general.
I don't know. I have to say, I was introduced to knitting because all of my great aunts and my grandmother and so on, they all knit. A couple of them crochet. My great grandmother crocheted, but I didn't see her doing it much. So it was mostly knitting that I was around growing up. So when I had the opportunity to learn knitting, it was very natural. I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to learn how to knit. I don't even think I knew the word crochet really until I was starting to look at library books, and I was like, I was looking for more knitting related stuff, more crafting related stuff. And then when I love secondhand stores and I love secondhand bookstores. And when I found that little secondhand booklet on crochet, and it was full of like all these, hippies wearing like hippie stuff. And I loved that because I was a young teenager. I remember thinking, oh, this looks neat. Oh, this is like knitting, but not knitting. And then I remembered that I had a crochet hook at home that I'd had since I was a little kid. And I thought, oh, I've already got the tool and I've already got the yarn because I knit. I'm going to buy this little, it was like 25 cents for the little booklet. And I'm just going to sit at home and try to figure out how to use my hook. And then I made, the first thing I did was I taught myself some stitches. And the first thing I did was make a hat, not using a pattern, just fiddling. Based on what I understood about knitting and making hats, because I sewed. I sewed before anything. And first thing I ever did was make a hat, and it was awkward and weird and funny and lumpy, and I absolutely loved it. And I wore it, and that was it. I was gone. I was like, okay, well, crochet is now my new thing, and it's been my new thing ever since. So. I just also like to let everyone know, because we always have new people. We always have new people watching. Yes. We put out a new video every week. It's usually Friday morning. Every Friday we have a new video out. And we try to live stream at least once every 2 weeks. Yeah, so at least. Sometimes we get some more in. Sometimes we squeeze more in depending on the time, but it's usually once every 2 weeks. Yeah, for the live stream. But every week we have a new video. Yeah, every Friday we've got something. So I'll put the channel. If you don't get your notification, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you click the like button on our videos. Enjoy them. That also helps put it in your home feed. Yeah, that helps YouTube go, oh, you want to see more of this. Yeah, that helps too. So I'm going to put our channel homepage. So you can bookmark this on your browser. And if you're unsure if we've put out a new video, just pop over to our channel and you'll see if we have new videos. Yeah, that's it. So there you go. My dear friends, we thank you for joining us today. We will see you Friday for the next Totally Tunisian Calendar Blanket Square. I'm so looking forward to this one. I'm using my coral yarn for that. I'm so excited. Okay. This is such a fun year. If you've got questions about Tunisian crochet, I hope we answered them. If we didn't, you can leave them down below in the comment section. If you've got comments or questions about other projects we've done or just other crochet things in general, leave them down below or leave them on the specific video, because we once a week we go through everything and we try to make sure we get to everybody's questions. You can always message us directly at the Etsy shop. So if you've got a question about a pattern you've purchased or anything you're kind of a bit concerned, or like anything you want to share a photo of something you've made using one of our patterns or whatever, please feel free to pop over to our Etsy shop and send us a message. And speaking of the Etsy shop, we are going to have a flash sale this afternoon. Mr. InStitches idea, love it. So thank you all for joining us. Stay tuned for the post about the sale over at Etsy shop. We'll also post it on our at the community page. At the community page, so everyone knows it's on. And we'll see you here Friday, 10:30 a.m. Eastern-ish, for the Totally Tunisian Calendar Blanket Square February. The Chibis are excited. And I have a feeling looking forward to it. That if you felt comfortable with the Tunisian simple stitch, this one you're going to fly through.
No, hey, keep the spoilers to a
I'm
minimum,
so
Missy.
excited.
Keep the spoilers to a minimum.
I'm so excited.
Okay, one last membership milestone before we shut down. Shell, our fellow Ontarian.
We are hunkering down, right, Shell? Shell mentioned. Shell gave me the heads up. We're going to get hit with weather. I didn't know that.
No,
We've got snow coming.
Boo.
No, thanks, Shell.
Thanks a lot, Shell. Yeah, I guess we've had a few days of
It's been
not
nice.
so
It's
bad,
been
so
really
it's time
nice.
to get a good
It's
wallop.
been cold, but it's been real sunny. Yeah.
So Shell says, Shell's been a member for 39 months, Silk
Thanks,
member. Thanks for all the helpful information, Jayda. I'm really happy to be learning. Last year helped a lot with perspective as it hit a lot easier by July.
Marvelous.
Yeah, well, you know,
Great.
a little bit at a time.
A little bit at a time. And that's what
You
this year's going to be.
Yeah.
We are going to learn Tunisian together. We are going to explore these stitches. We are going to make little samplers. We're going to make a blanket. We'll talk about making fun little dishcloths if you want to sample something bigger but still use it. It's going to be a fun year, and we are going to expand our crochet skills together. So I am so excited.
If you missed the live stream, you can, it'll archive in about, I don't know,
20 minutes.
30 minutes, and you can watch it from the beginning.
Yeah.
And I guess that's
And that's
it.
that.
We'll see everyone on Friday.
We'll see you Friday. Great.
Have a great day.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us.
Yes, thank you so much,
And
guys.
thanks for all your support. We appreciate it.
Yes. Take care. We'll see you Friday.
Bye-bye.